part two, all right, of this early English colonization. All right, so we had Edward the Sixth. Okay, when he dies, he was Henry's son. Who knows whether it was really his son or not? Okay, when he dies, we're going to skip her for a second, and actually, Henry's first daughter to Catherine of Aragon, who will become known as Mary, Queen of Scots, whose mother was sent away very, very early in the beginning. She comes back and tries to take over the throne of England after Edward VI dies. She's only on the throne for a short little bit of time, but this lady, Elizabeth I, ends up having way more supporters who want her to be queen. So at the age of 25, she becomes queen of all of England, and she is going to basically be Queen of England for the next 45 years until she's about 70 years old. Okay, but so Mary, Queen of Scots, was the queen in there for just a little bit of time in between there. Okay, we're going to skip that there. Mary, Queen of Scots, had a son though, who will become later after Elizabeth I dies, who will become known as King James. Okay, and King James is the one that Jamestown is named after and things like that. He'll be the one that basically drives the Pilgrims out of England, drives the Quakers out of England because of his decisions with the Church of England and stuff. So we'll come back to him in a little bit. Okay, so let's go back here. Elizabeth I. Well, let's skip Elizabeth I here for a second. Sorry, I'm bouncing all around. It's probably driving you crazy. All right, here's just some memes some kids sent in at one point. I thought it was funny to put in. Tell me, how am I supposed to breathe with no heir? Get it? Instead of AIR, like heir to the throne. That one. This is like hipster Henry VIII there with all the different names of all the different wives that he had there, and hashtag king, and there's his new woman on his phone and all that kind of stuff like that. So there's like hipster Henry VIII. And then this one, I'll let it speak for itself. You can laugh at it, and then I'll move on to the next one. And this is like that. There was this one funny meme where the guy was getting caught by his girlfriend checking out this other lady. So there's Catherine of Aragon catching Henry checking out Anne Boleyn, and then Anne Boleyn catching him checking out Jane Seymour, and Jane Seymour catching him checking out Anne of Cleves, and then Anne of Cleves catching him checking out Catherine Howard, and then Catherine Howard catching him checking out Catherine Parr. I don't know, it's kind of funny thingy. Okay, so Elizabeth I, some more details on her, and we'll talk about why she looks this way and stuff. Born in 1533, dies in 1603. She died when she was almost about 70. She was the queen for 45 years of England, a time period known as the Elizabethan period. She was also known as the Virgin Queen, okay, because she never had a husband. And when she became queen at 25, she basically said, I'm going to be married to England. That's going to be my job. That's going to be my life. And she took her ruling of England very, very seriously, never took a husband or anything. And so that's where the name Virginia comes from. When they start the Virginia colony, it's named after Elizabeth I, the Virgin Queen. Some crazy things about her, okay? They always say that she made the artists paint her a lot better looking than what she actually was. So even that she doesn't look that great in these pictures, that's probably better looking than what she actually looked like in real life. She wore this heavy, heavy, heavy white makeup that they would put on her to make her look very pure and porcelain skin and ethereal and very, just angelic and things. This was kind of the style of the ladies of the day. What they didn't realize was that white makeup that she would have painted onto her was a mixture of lead and crushed up oyster shells and pearls and things like that. That, if you know anything about later on, they figured out about lead poisoning. And the lead kind of seeped into her skin over the next 45 years and ended up kind of driving her nuts towards the end of her life. They said her very, very red lipstick was actually made with mercury. And mercury is, you can get mercury poisoning, and she's putting that onto her lips and things. So just everything she was doing wasn't that great for her. They said she had smallpox when she was a teenager, so she had a bunch of pock marks on her face, like scars. So she wanted to cover those up. And they would paint this white makeup onto her, and sometimes she'd keep it on for almost a week. And then when she went to take it off, they used a makeup remover that had a lot of mercury in it. So she was just kind of poisoning herself as life went along. They said that it pretty much, all the mercury and the lead and everything just kind of rotted her face away, and her skin just kind of like turned all grayish, and she had all these like peeling skin and all this stuff all over her. Made her hair fall out. So she was always wearing like a wig and stuff, and just kind of nutso. By the time she died, they think, it was kind of messing with her brain and stuff. So, but she is the Queen of England who is going to start basically the first sort of English trying attempts at colonization over here in the New World in North America. Okay, so she's queen of all that. All the way back to, remember, Giovanni Caboto or John Cabot, the dude that they sent straight across from England, and he said that he had landed in China, but he really wasn't in China. He was in the eastern coast of Canada, over here by the Gulf of St. Lawrence, what we call Newfoundland and Nova Scotia and things. And so he didn't find China, but actually what he did find was that off of the coast up there, there's these things called the Grand Banks, and they were very, very, very great place for fishing. It's where you go out in the ocean and all of a sudden it just drops off and gets like 3 miles deep. And something to do with the Gulf Stream brings all the food up there for the fish and the warm and cold waters. So England was able to come over here, and this is a time period around where the French are starting to claim up here too. But England does a lot of fishing and is able to make a good living off of that. England wanted to start colonizing things over here for many reasons. First one was England is just a small little island, right? And over about 1,000 years of building castles and weapons for war and houses and burning fires to create bricks and all that kind of stuff like that, they were running out of trees. I mean, they basically had cut down a lot of their trees, and they didn't have an Arbor Day. They didn't have a day to say, let's go out and plant more trees so we can save the world. And so when Giovanni Caboto spots the coastline over here, and he says there's just billions and billions of trees as far as the eye could see, nice big tall straight pine trees that could be used for the masts of boats, that hold the sails, these great big American chestnut trees, oak trees with great crooked arms and things that they use for boat parts. It was great for them. It was like dollar signs for them. So that was one of the big things. Plus the fishing, plus England being such a small island, all the rich people, the kings and queens and the nobility owned all the land. All right. The poor little peasant farmer didn't even have a chance of ever owning any land. They were farming for a bigger farm for, paying rent on it and stuff. And so that was a big opportunity for people to come over here to the New World and get like free land and things. So that's part of the reasons England wanted to start colonizing. Also, they wanted to become as rich as Spain and as France and things like that. So they're going to get involved in the colonization. Okay. First, Queen Elizabeth says we want to try to become as rich as Spain and France. So she tells her sea captains and her merchant vessels and things, says, guess what, boys? I'm going to make piracy legal. Go to it. All right? So she allows her ship captains for her navy and for her merchant vessels and things to attack other ships. She wants them to go out and attack Spanish ships and French ships and try to take their treasures and the furs and things like that and the tobacco and all the things that they're bringing back from over in their colonies in the New World. She doesn't call them pirates, though. We're going to come back and see this dude, Francis Drake. Okay? She doesn't call them pirates. She calls them sea dogs because piracy was illegal. So she has to make up a thing that kind of makes it not illegal in her eyes. So they get called sea dogs. We'll skip this. I just had some little things about different things about sea dogs. Okay? And here's just the Spanish going, hola, look at all this gold we found. And the sea dogs are going, arg, sea dogs attack. And the Spanish are going, oh no, English pirates. Okay, whatever, horrible accents. I'm sorry about that. Just something to break the monotony here. All right, so one of these dudes is Sir Francis Drake, who will become known as Sir Francis Drake. Okay, he was a slave trader. He was a pirate. He was a robber. Okay, and so in 1577, Francis Drake decides he's going to stop looking around over here trying to catch the Spanish and the French ships going back to Europe. He's going to do Magellan's route. He's going to come down around the coast of South America, get over here on the west side. He's hoping he could find some Spanish treasure ships from over here, maybe bringing things from the western part of Mexico and Central America. He gets lucky. 1577, spots a Spanish treasure ship here off the western coast of Central America. All right, attacks the Spanish treasure ship. Back then, you just kind of lined up your ships, started firing your cannons. You didn't want to sink the other ship or you'd lose all the treasure, but you shot your cannonballs. They had like certain cannonballs that had like chains connecting that spin around. You wanted to try to knock off the masts of the other ship, so the sails were knocked down, so they were inoperable. And they would try to shoot for the rudder, the back steering part of the ship. And so whenever you disabled another ship, then you got close, your guys went aboard, took the other crew as prisoners to take back and ransom. You tried to take all the treasures off of the ship, all that good stuff, okay? Supposedly, in 1577, Sir Francis Drake and his sea dog pirate guys captured a Spanish treasure ship there that, according to the stories, took them 3 days to unload all the gold and silver and gems and jewels and all those things. Worth in the billions with a B, billions of dollars in today's money, okay? That was going to make him rich and famous. But what he decides is, if I try going back down around the way I came, There's going to be plenty of Spanish like warships around here looking for sea dogs and pirates and things. So he decides, I can't go back that way. I might get captured. I might have my treasure taken. He decides to do the Magellan route. He sails all the way across the Pacific Ocean, goes to the Spice Islands, loads up a couple of the ships with spices, does the rest of the journey all the way back to England. Okay, it takes him 3 years to do that. So he becomes not only rich and famous for taking this huge treasure, but also he's the second dude to complete the voyage around the world. Okay, when he gets back to England, he shares the treasure. Most of it goes to Queen Elizabeth I. She congratulates him, gives him a huge chunk of it. He lives a life of luxury for the rest of his life. His crew gets lots of money, and she knights him. Here's different scenes of her supposedly knighting him on the deck of the ship that they found all the treasure in. We'll skip this. I just thought it was funny. Queen Elizabeth II was knighting Ozzy Osbourne some point back in the 2000s, if you know who Ozzy is from like Black Sabbath and stuff. But okay, so she knights, and he becomes Sir Francis Drake. Okay, makes England pretty rich when you get $1 billion worth of treasure basically at that point. Okay, so she does that, and kids thought this was funny. Here's Drake, the rapper Drake, his head on Sir Francis Drake's body. I don't know, something funny. Okay, so what's he become? He was the second person to sail all the way around the world and took that huge treasure for England. All right, when we get back here, we're going to kind of finish up here with a thing called the Lost Colony down in the Outer Banks of North Carolina. So we'll come back, should be able to kind of wrap this up in the third video. Okay, so that was part 2. See you in part 3.